Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. My name's Linda. I'm your trauma recovery coach. Remember to like and share this live stream so that other people will know that we're online. Also, so that the silent majority will know that there is help out there for them. And we are still operating in times where the silent majority are a majority. And we need to be willing to be the ones who step up and instigate change in our family dynamics. I was late this morning because I had a family emergency last night. Now, everything is okay, everything will be okay, but in the middle of the night when one of my adult children needed me, and they said, can they talk to me? And it's about life. I said, come on down. Okay, so we live in the same building, but not in the same space. So I learned a lot last night about the impact of the choices I made many, many, many years ago. When my children were young, outwardly, so externally, it looked like we had everything. I was married to their dad, had been for some time. We had our own home, we had our own cars, we had an extra car. I had my own business premises on the property, and everything was seemingly hunky-dory. We never know what goes on behind closed doors for everybody, but here's what I can tell you, and it's not to take away from anybody, is that I reached a point when my children were little where I had to make the decision, do I stay and let them be impacted by what's going on behind closed doors? So the sudden outbursts of rage, the anger that would impact my youngest to this day, the financial abuse, the financial side of things is pretty bad. He even died in debt that his family had to pay, and so much more. And I had to sit back and consider what I was doing, and the fact that children learn what they live. So we can talk till we're blue in the face. We can say, you need to do this, and if we're not doing it ourselves, our children will not change. Doesn't matter what age they are, nothing will change. It doesn't matter how much you wish that they would do the opposite of you, unless you're setting up and standing up and being an example, they will not change. They will continue to carry on the family dysfunction and toxicity that has gone on for generations. So we need a bigger picture of what we want for our kids, and that bigger picture drives us when people don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We need to know that if it's abusive, we leave. It's not an option to stay. It does take time to plan. It does take time to come to terms with it, but we leave. For me, I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I didn't know what would happen. I never wanted to be divorced ever in my entire life, because I come from generations of divorce, and I know the destruction that it does externally and internally to families, and I never wanted it to be my lot. So then I went, okay, if I have to do this, then I want to do it in a manner that is representative of who I am as a person and where I want my kids to be able to go. Okay? We need to communicate and be willing to communicate with our children, even though we were never communicated to. All right? We need to be willing to learn how to communicate and communicate effectively. The communication needs to start with, okay, we realize that the other adult in our lives, their behavior is not acceptable, but we will always, always love them, no matter what. If we teach our children to hate, there will be a pool of hate inside themselves that they need to resolve as well. Don't do it. I raised my children even after I left their father that no matter what his behavior was like, you will always love your dad. No matter what my father behaves like, I will always love my father. And if I can connect to that, then I can heal more than holding on to the bitterness and rage and everything else that goes along with hurt and pain. Okay? This form of communication sets them up into adulthood where they can reach out to you knowing that you will be there for them and you will listen. So when my child reached out to me at 2:30 this morning and said, "Are you awake?" I'm like, "Yes, what can I do? What do you need?" All right? They can reach out to you as adults in times of intense stress, knowing that you will be there for them without judgment because you have literally shown them what you're prepared to do for them. I left. I've always made them aware of as they got older, obviously, of why I had to leave and what I wanted for them. So I openly tell them, take the good out of how I've raised you, make it work for you and for your children that you will have one day. Make it work and then add in all the new information we have and raise them with intention, with raising them consciously to know that they have choices, and especially if anyone comes along into your life and wants to cut you off from your community, from your friends, from your mum. I mean, let's face it, who'd want to cut you off from me? I kid. People, my child was told to cut themselves off from me, and they love me. What does that tell you about the other person in their life? Okay? Sorry, I've been emotional about all of that. That someone comes along and wants to manipulate you and cut you off from your friends. They yell at you, they tell you that you're nothing and that you're the one with the problems, etc., etc., etc. Sorry, just kind of really hitting me what this person did. When they came into my child's life, I had to be willing to step back and take a leap of faith and trust that all would work out long term, because you can see how lazy and selfish they are. But there's no use telling your kids that. They've got to go through the experience. And if you've set your kids up in life, you know that when push comes to shove, they will come to you to seek comfort and wisdom and just to be there with them. Okay? Really super important stuff. I think I said about being honest about why I did what I did, and that was one of the anchor points for my child, my adult child, was that they were very conscious of the reasons of why I had to leave. So I've always made, not in their younger years, in their older years, I've made them very aware that I left because I wanted change for the generations that come after me. So it didn't matter how hard I had it, didn't matter how single I was, didn't matter how alone or seeking I was, none of that mattered. I was prepared to face that pain, knowing that I'm setting them up, that they know that they can face their pain because they've seen it, and they know that you can have a successful life if you're prepared to face the pain in your heart, the wounds in our heart, and you can come to a place of joy. When they see that happening, when they see the hard work unfolding in front of them, they're more inclined to know that they can do it too. All right? Always teach our children about how we need community, because when we teach them about it and teach them that, there's 20% of ourselves we don't see, So we need other people around us that will speak openly into our lives and say, hey, this is happening. Are you aware of it? And I have people like that in my life, and I develop new people that come in and are prepared to say that as well. So then my child was then able to say, well, this person that's in my life is trying to shut me away, not only from my mother, but from friends who think the world of me. And they're wanting to treat me like I'm the worst thing that ever walked the earth. So it's going to give our child the inner support they need to make the decisions that they will need to make through the hardest of times when our heart is broken in our family. We want to talk, and that comes into line, that comes into alignment with teaching our kids that when somebody tries to isolate them from community, they're not the ones with the problem. The person who's trying to isolate them is the one with the problem. We want to teach our kids about verbal abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and we want to teach them about red flags. It's easy to teach our kid about red flags. Google red flags and make them aware of what they are. In particular, men who are lazy are men that we don't want in our lives because they have underlying issues that are going on. Women who are controlling are women that we don't want in our lives because they have underlying issues that they're not addressing. And I can tell you from my friends, from everyone around me, that abuse happens on both sides of the fence. I am aware of women who have experienced abuse behind closed doors, and I am aware of men who have experienced abuse behind closed doors. And I do life with these people, and they are the most wonderful, gentle, kind, caring, considerate people you will ever come across. Okay? Talk about to your kids when things come unstuck. Talk about and be real with them about how it hurts our heart like nothing else on earth. It hurts our heart when we have to say goodbye to somebody in our life, whether they're a spouse or a friend. It hurts our heart. It will hurt them too, but it hurts our heart. But when we're prepared to go through a broken heart, we also, and do it in a healthy manner, so not do it with bitterness and rage and it's everybody's fault. When we do it in a place of respect and understanding, we are able to have our broken heart healed. And it's better to do that than to pass on to our children's children that we stay living our lives in pain. We have to be willing to be the example that there's more to life than staying stuck in a life of pain and agony and being with somebody who strips off us, tears us down, and it's all our fault. The pain of heartbreak will mend. Teach them and show them that the pain of heartbreak will mend. And it mends, they see that in our life when they see that despite the heartache, we're prepared to live and love and laugh again. And teach them, show them that beyond words is that love, a deep abiding love, deep abiding peace is possible when we face up to our heartache and pain. I want to thank you all this morning for coming along for my second broadcast so that I could share with you these important things, because these important things just saved one of my children from going through a life of heartache and pain. If you are a person of faith any faith and how you practice your faith, have somebody in your life who practices your faith in the same manner, because it's our spiritual strength that gets us through these toughest of tough times. It's the spiritual strength that brings two people together to build even greater strength, to make it through the toughest of tough times, the challenging times in life, because they are very real, they will come. And it helps to make sure that we get through it. I have watched my children go through really tough times, but I've also watched them be prepared to listen to what I'm saying, to integrate it into their day-to-day life in a manner that reflects who they are. So not be carbon copy cutouts of me. And anyone who knows my kids know that we're all so totally different personality-wise and how we make our decisions. But we're liberating our kids to make the choices for future generations, that having the kindest heart and being prepared to work through heartbreak means that our heart becomes even bigger and kinder and wanting to help other people get through these challenging times. So thank you. Let's continue to be the examples that our kids need, our adults' kids need, and be the examples so that when the proverbial hits the fan, so when shit hits the fan in life, we're the ones that they come to, and we're the ones that stand solidly beside them and say, it doesn't matter what decision you made years ago, it matters today that you're standing up and you're being prepared to walk through the heartache and pain so that your future children will learn from this and they will be able to become equipped to change the generations that come after them. And we need to have these long-term, long-range plans in order to break the toxicity, emotional dysfunction that has gone before us. And Diana, that is beautiful. My daughter and I are once again close as we were. Just beautiful. That is so good to hear. One of the comments that one of my children made to me were, Mum, you went through everything in order that we would be able to make these decisions, and I want to honour you as a parent that you would do this for us, and I'm not prepared to stay isolated and being abused when you walked out so that we could live free from all of this. So we've still got a learning path ahead of us, but I'm proud of them for being willing to face the heartbreak and say, this is not for me. I will not be treated like this. And I just am so pleased that they have seen it and that they know that there is another way to life. We can make mistakes about who we choose to be in our life, but we won't make them again and again if we're prepared to reach out to community, reach out to friends, and be honest about what's going on behind closed doors, even when the other person says, you're not allowed to tell anyone else. We have to be willing to break this silence and be the ones that do it now in order that we change the many, many generations that will come after us. I love you all. I hope that through this all you're able to gain some insight to help with your day-to-day life and being raw and vulnerable with your kids, and the benefit, the big picture that pays off in the end. It's not about expecting our children to take care of our heartache and pain. In fact, if you're doing that, stay away from your kids. Okay, that's not healthy parenting. It's showing our children and being the example that we can get up again, We can talk about things, we can process through it, but most of all, and above and beyond everything else, we love and respect each other right till the end. We do this together. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to have another coffee and I will be back. Well, not today. It's the weekend now, ladies. We've made it through another week. Thank you for being an incredible audience. And I will see you again Monday. Ironically, I'd already chosen next week's subject matter of relationships. So this is a good lead into where we're going next week to learn everything we need to know about us in relationships. Have a gorgeous weekend and bye for now.